All right, let's do this. Becoming one with the wall, part 2. Of course, you watching and you listen to Mr. Cage, and I will ask you to make sure that you go back and check out part 1. Part 1 was about 14 minutes. Didn't know it was going to go that long, but this becoming one with the wall video conversation is importante. I want to be very strategic. I want to be very deliberate because once we disconnect from the wall, we experience freedom, a dimension of freedom that we have never experienced before. Once that occurs, you see differently, you hear differently, you do differently, you feel differently, and you are differently. Let's do a quick review. Internalizing feelings and emotions associated with a traumatic experience on a psychological level in accordance to the 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell equate to becoming one with the wall. Our traumatic experience, some type of loss, becomes our identity when we become one with the wall. In terms of psychology, let's split psychology up and say that psyche, soul, study of soul. Number 1, the mind. 2, will and emotions. Mind, what I think. Will, what I want. And emotions, how I feel. You notice that in those 3 components, one particularly constant in those 3 components is the letter I, which translates into a first person point of view. And a first person point of view without supervision can equate to becoming one with the wall. And the wall is a defense mechanism, not only because of perceived threats coming from traumatic experiences, but the wall is what is called restriction, a self-imposed limitation, and can be associated with prison of the mind. Secondly, as a review, once we experience the trauma in the natural realm, with our natural senses on a psychological level, a hurt or a wound ensues, then the scab or defense mechanism forms. But once we have this experience in the natural realm, of course, when we get hurt, a wound or hurt is going to be the end result. Anytime we have a hurt, there has to be some type of scab to protect us. But what happens with us, and I think I stated it in the first video, instead of us doing the internal work while the scab is there, there's no work to be done because we've been taught from societal engineering to work on the outside, cosmetically, surfacely, instead of inside. That looks like this. You said something to me and it hurt me. Whether your intentions was quote unquote good or quote unquote bad, no matter what you said and how you said it, if it struck a chord in me and I processed that as hurt, I blame you. So if I blame you, in my mind, there is no work to be done internally with myself. And that keeps us in what is called arrested development. That keeps us in a stuck state. That keeps us in the state or the realm of limitation. And the smoke screen, the magic trick, the misunderstanding that's associated with this is that I can still accumulate material things that you can see: a house, a car, a new relationship, a degree, an accreditation, a certification. All of those can be associated with the wall, where the true essence of who I am cannot be penetrated, because I have up my walls and I become one with those walls. So that was the first part. Now we're going to go into the second part. So keep in mind, frame, that when we described it in video number 1, I gave 2 examples because my goal was to introduce the content and put the content in a framework that's relevant and relative to you. We've all been in relationships. We've all been hurt by a family, a friend, maybe even a spouse, or someone that we had a romantic love or concern about. But I put it in the frame of context of me having a different type of relationship with my mom and my girlfriend who cheated on me in high school, my best friend. So go back and refer to those, but I've still put what was said in the context so we can keep it relevant to us. My first statement to share is that becoming one with the wall is man-made. What does that mean, Cage? That means that the wall that we become one with was man-made. It was based upon our imagination. Imagination, root word, image. So whatever experience that we had that was based on a first-person perspective, it could have took place when my traumatic experience took place when I was in high school. Of course, on the psychological level or sociological level, whatever level that deals with the brain, of course, the brain, we know by doing our studies scientifically that it's not fully developed. And of course, me being 16 years of age, I wasn't fully developed in terms of my maturity. It still was experiences. There were lessons that was needed for me to learn to have the tools in my toolkit to live a high quality, productive life. But when I had the traumatic experience, it was based on how I saw it. See, perception, imagination, peers coming in, speaking different words to me, influencing me, different conversations. Anytime a word comes, subconsciously, there's an image associated with it. We either see it consciously or subconsciously. It all depends on your level of awareness and sensitivity to what your intake is. But when that imagination formed, then that imagination is confirmed over and over and over again. Consciously do conversations, subconsciously do life, equates to what we call a negative stronghold. And a negative stronghold will grip the mind and take our life off the path of purpose, destiny, and legacy. These walls that we become one with are man-made, void of input from divinity all day, every day. There's one perspective. It's a lower level. It's a natural perspective when these imaginations are made. So these walls are man-made. Becoming one with the wall can manifest due to the internalizing of misunderstandings. So you take my situation that I shared with you in the first video in terms of, let's just use my girlfriend at the time in high school. Her behavior that I experienced was misinterpreted. I interpreted from a one or a first person perspective. You did that deliberately. You knew what you were doing. You knew that we were together. You knew the impact this would have on me, which for me looks like betrayal. Looks like you consciously did this. Looks like you and him been plotting and planning this for 3 or 4 months. These are all thoughts that I could have had at that time, being 16, 17 years of age. These are all imaginations that I could have had at the time. So her behavior was misinterpreted by me because I made it all about me. Not understanding that though she had a conscious awareness of what she was doing, she didn't understand the why or the impact that it would have on her, the impact that it would have on me, and the impact that it would have on my brother. Because in this first story, as I detailed the story with you, she cheated on me with a person, one of my younger friends that I considered as a brother. She didn't understand the impact because we all were in the realm of survival mode, and survival mode will always produce instant gratification. I'm living in the now. I'm not living towards the future and the impacts and the consequences, negatively or positively. I want what I want now. So I internalized a misinterpretation, and the wall began to build itself because it's man-made, an imagination void of any insight or perspective of divinity. So I misinterpreted the intentions, the words, and the actions. So anytime we misinterpret someone's intentions, words, or actions, in many cases, it's going to result in us, quote unquote, feeling rejected. We're going to feel rejected. And in the natural realm, that feeling is so real. That feeling is so real. And from that feeling, thoughts are produced, concepts are produced, assumptions are produced, interpretations are produced. And when we try to have that conversation with that individual, take my case, you try to have a conversation with an individual who cheated on you, it's going to be emotionally charged because I have an emotional attachment to this person. And because I feel that they betrayed me, when the conversation is had, I may not even hear anything that they're saying. I may hear what I want to hear, but I may not hear what they're saying. The conversation can go, oh, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. No, Marcus, you're really hearing according to how you heard it, not how I said it, because you're in a state of fight or flight because I hurt you. And your mindset is, I did it intentionally. Your mindset is, I knew what I was doing when I did it. Your mindset is, I knew what impact it would have on you. A misinterpretation of a person's intentions, words, or actions. So that's another note. So when that takes place, the wall will build up and it equates to escapism or us going another way. So instead of us pressing in to talk and really resolve the issue, because keep this in mind, all conflict originates within because it's based on an interpretation that could be inaccurate. So when the interpretation is inaccurate, the defense mechanism will manifest itself to protect us from a perceived threat. In this case, let's go another way. Let's not resolve it. We talked about it. I didn't hear anything that you said. I heard what I wanted to hear, but it never got resolved. And the easiest way, or one of the easiest ways a wall can get built, which equates to us becoming one with the wall, is escapism. I'm going to escape the pressure because the pressure is overwhelming and it's too much. I feel betrayed. I feel attacked. I feel belittled. I feel overwhelmed. So the last part, as I finish out this part 2, glancing at my notes, I will tell you this, is that From that misinterpretation of the intentions, words, and actions come a personalization of the intention, words, and actions. Once I misinterpret a person's intentions, words, or behavior, then I take it personal. And especially if you close to me, like in the example that I shared, if you personable with anybody, this means that you shared a lot with them. You shared your life with them. You shared your struggles. You shared your victories. You shared your triumphs. You shared when you had a bad day. You shared your whole world with an individual. And now you telling me that you cheated on me? You telling me that my misinterpretation of your intentions, actions, and behaviors will equate to me personalizing them. And when they personalize, now I'm upset. Now I'm angry. I'm going to do something to get even. And when I was in my immaturity, that is exactly what I did. I did something by connecting with her best friend and cheating on her with her best friend. And I don't know if she even knows to this day. I'm 41 years young. I have no idea. But it made me feel good at the time. Instantly gratifying, survival mode, but impacted me for the next decade of my life. Because from there, I normalized that type of behavior. This is Becoming the Wall Part 2. Soak it in, share it, comment, ask the questions. This is a life-changing conversation, because if we can get the understanding associated with the concept, integrate it into our lives, make this a substantial part of our life, and live from that place of victory, your world will change. Your world changes when the world inside of you changes. The victory that you desire in life and that we desire, you must first be victorious internally, and then your internal victory will manifest for the world to see.